try it out small, don't make it too big, stand alone and see if it actually works, so you have a better understanding of how it will apply if you scale it up.
A effective marketing function really requires a reliable technology stack. How did you go about choosing what technologies to work with?
Well, I think there are two ways. One was always I worked at a telco and at an IT company, and there are different, let's say, historically created environments. So you might have this great idea about doing something, and then you turn out that it's really hard to get these to get this data in or to get these models in. So you have to work from what is possible. I think that's the first step, and you might like that, or you might not. Usually you don't, because it means certain things cannot be done. So that's one, and the other part is you create certain pockets or trials. I've always been really fond of that.
Okay.
Is you, instead of looking at the roadmap and coming up with budget allocations and long-term planning, a lot of time is spent in this initial stage, and you don't even know if it will work. So I'm a big fan of a POC, like a proof of concept. Try it out small, don't make it too big, stand alone and see if it actually works, so you have a better understanding of how it will apply if you scale it up. And if you do it the other way around, then it usually becomes a longer project, takes more time, it's more expensive, and you might not get what you want. And so I think it's a date. You date the technology first, and if that goes well 2-3 times, you might consider a more long-term investment. And I think really involving the people that need to use it. So in my current company, I just sit down and say, okay, what do we need to achieve? And then have them make a selection or a suggestion, and then we look how that fits out. Because I think nothing is more frustrating than if you are in tech, and whether you like it or not, in marketing you will be more and more in tech, and you don't like the platform or you don't like the tools, or right, that doesn't work. So I think allow people to make their own selection, to try first before you buy, or maybe buy a little bit and try it first. And the third part is find a way to fit it in whatever it is that you already have. And I think those are the three things how I would approach it.
So are there ever times that data can be misleading? I know that Junbi has a strong opinion on this, and that this is something you've based a lot of research on. How is data misleading?
Yeah, I think it's garbage in, garbage out. So if you train any model, I think one of the challenges nowadays is that doesn't work. If you ask a generative, an image creator now to create an image of an Indian man, you get an old man with a beard, and I think it's not representative, right? So, but it's in there, it's in the data. So yes, it can be. If you feed it rubbish, you just train it on rubbish, and I think it can be misleading. And in any corporate environment, you have misleading, let's say, data. I used to call them watermelon green, right? You have a dashboard, everything is great, but if you dive into one of those metrics and you slice it up and you dive deeper, and you go like, this is not going great at all, right? So
Watermelon green.
Watermelon greens, and it looks great, but if you dive into the real metric or what it's built up of, and I think you have to do that also as a CMO every now and then. Say, okay, let's
Cut
sit
the
down,
melon up and see what's inside.
show me what's inside. Why is this? How do we get to these numbers? And I think NPS is a good example, right? We're all using NPS. If you really dive into the science of NPS, you will see that it's not predictive of market level growth, of a loyalty. What it shows you, if you have a really lousy NPS, that you have a crappy product, and that people are more likely to leave. But the other part of NPS, which I think BCG sold us very nicely, doesn't work. So you have companies that have really high NPS and growing, and they're losing market share and they're losing clients. So I think it's good to dive into it. And it's a balance because you always want to have metrics, right? I think John Doerr said if you can't measure it, it's very hard to steer. Or Measure What Matters, I think was the name of his book. If you don't have those, it's going to be really hard to steer.